Hello and welcome back to Continental Club, the second one of 2019, and we have a little announcement for you. Obviously, Pato has sadly left to Paris for 2 months. Joe and Chris are incredibly busy men these days, so I am stepping in as the permanent host of Continental Club.
Rejoice.
And joining me today is it's the old man, Chris Hamill.
Thank you.
The Star Wars the champion,
What an
it's
introduction.
Michael McCubbin.
On the best chest in the West.
Indeed.
Yeah. This means that new products are coming your way. We need to set some time aside to develop them. But Continental Club is going to be in the very capable hands
We'll
of
see
the
about
poshest man on FD. It's Doogie Critchley.
Yes.
From there on in. And I said your name right then.
Yeah, you did. What a day.
Smashed it.
Oh, happy days.
Good
And
sign, that.
So basically today we're going to do the usual format, little rundown, main topic, couple of quickfire questions and then a big match preview. And our first question is except Dortmund, what are the other European clubs that young English footballers can move to for their development if they aren't getting a chance to play at their club? And this comes in from @Mayank Kabaddi. So obviously we've seen a spate of youngsters, including Reece Nelson and Jadon Sancho, move abroad in the last 12 months or so. But have you guys found any other clubs that this could work with? Any other youngsters that should pursue this route?
Yeah, I thought that was the more interesting way into this question. Maybe just to pick a few youngsters who this applies to, or youngsters that have gone and found success, or maybe only just moved abroad, and we can profile them basically. So we've spoken enough about Jadon Sancho and the impact that he's having at Dortmund. 0.7 expected goals per game at the moment from him. Is that expected goals and assists? I believe it is, 0.7. So he's taken to the Bundesliga like a duck to water, hasn't he? But we're going to touch upon a few names that you may not have heard of. So I've gone for Jonathan Panzer at Monaco, who's only just moved. He's 18. He was born in Brockley to Ivorian parents, so he's already learnt French, and the transition will be much smoother for him. And he's been capped for England up to under 19 level. Now, he was at Chelsea from the age of 9. He won 5 trophies in his final season at Chelsea.
Their youth, in one season?
Yeah, their youth teams are always kind of hoovering up
aren't they? Yeah.
all the under 19 silverware, aren't they? He moved to Monaco in July 2018, rejecting a contract from Chelsea because he saw that first team opportunities very limited. And I mean, Jadon Sancho and Reece Nelson have kind of opened up the floodgates. People have, and others that we're going to touch upon, players now see Europe as a much more viable option than staying at their club and forcing their way through. I mean, seeing Ruben Loftus-Cheek still kind of rotting on the bench, age 22, must be really putting these guys off, particularly at Chelsea, given the ability that he has. So back to Panzer, he was part of the under-17 team that finished runners-up to Spain in the 2017 Euro competition. He joins Shea Ojo, who's at Stade Rennes. I think you're going to touch upon him maybe in a second later. And Rio Griffiths at Lyon as the only Englishman currently plying their trade in Ligue 1. Michael Emenalo actually left Chelsea as technical director. A lot of people think that he used his influence at the club to bring him over to Monaco from Chelsea. But apparently Monaco have been scouting Panzer for 2 or 3 years, and that wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. This is the team that identified Kylian Mbappe when he was at, playing, is it Clairefontaine? That academy?
He's definitely based in Paris.
Yeah, around aged 14. They've got a pretty unrivaled scouting network when it comes to French teams. So it really wouldn't surprise me if they identified him early doors. Juventus, Gladbach, Valencia also heavily interested in Panzo's signature. So this is quite the coup for them. He's now competing with Biancone, who's only got 90 minutes, I think, this season. And Almani Toure, 22-year-old. He's got almost 400 minutes, but does have 4 years on Panzo. So much like Hudson-Odoi, if he went to Bayern Munich, his path to the first team is much clearer. There's less stumbling blocks in front of him, less proven internationals that kind of have to be in the team, I guess, to maintain that dogfight for the top 4 in the English Premier League, or top 6 now even. And France, I found this pretty interesting, stumbled across this morning, actually won the World Cup with the second youngest squad at the tournament.
Wow,
so they're clearly doing something right with their youngsters, aren't they? Giving them the minutes, bringing them through. I also sort of unearthed Dan Crowley, who is plying his trade in the Eredivisie when I was doing some research this morning. once described as the new Jack Wilshere. I'll have you know. Let's hope that his knees and his ankles and everything else, his general synovial fluid just hold up, unlike Jack. He was capped at under-19 level 2 for England, and he went a slightly different route to Panzer, who didn't go out on loan whatsoever. Whilst developing at Arsenal, he was actually loaned out to several clubs, including Barnsley, where he made 11 appearances, Oxford, where he only made 6. So a slight regression there, and then maybe an indication of the pitfalls of going on loan in the English pyramid, where even somewhere like Oxford, your technical qualities aren't going to be as important, I suppose, as your physical ones when you're competing in the lower tiers of the English football. The sort of top half of the Championship has changed for the better recently, but League One, League Two, still very physical divisions.
100%.
And then he went to Go Ahead Eagles, which is where his love affair with the Eredivisie began, made 16 appearances there. What a name for a club as well, by the way. And then instead of signing on, I don't know if the opportunity was there to sign on with Arsenal again, but at 20 he decided to leave for Willem II, who briefly loaned him out to the second tier of Dutch football. So maybe not the positive impact he was looking to make at first, but this season Crawley has been absolutely brilliant in attacking midfield. He's played 1,500 minutes of first team football. He's scored 2 and assisted 5.
Really good.
So
That's
5
great.
assists is good enough to put him in the top 10 assisters in the Eredivisie, and he's the most creative player at Go Ahead Eagles. 1.9 key passes a game, 2.4 dribbles. Like I said, both team highs. Really impressive sort of all-round numbers, considering this is his first real breakout campaign in a top flight. So one real feel-good story there with Dan Crowley, and he's kind of given us the positives, I guess, of making a brave move, of breaking away from the top academies and going to the Eredivisie. The Eredivisie is actually becoming really fertile ground for these youngsters, not just the Bundesliga. And one guy in Jonathan Panzer who's mainly playing for Monaco's reserves, but has also left a top club. Not that Arsenal aren't at the moment, but another top club just in pursuit for first team football. Whether he'll make the grade at Monaco is unbeknown to us at the moment, because Monaco's struggling. So I guess not the best time to be a young defender there.
I'm slightly worried that Monaco, even if they survive this year, will spend big this summer, and someone like Panzer might go slightly down the pecking order. But a brave move from him, big time. McCubs, have you found...
Freudian slip there.
I know, not Pat today, it's McCubs. McCubs, have you found anyone else of note around Europe?
I mean, I found a few, but again, they're not necessarily... This is probably on the flip side, not necessarily doing so well at their respective clubs. So, exactly. So, you're talking about Panzer there at Monaco, obviously, and mentioned Shea Ojo at Stade Rennes. He turns 22 this year. So kind of time is kind of slightly running out for him to be getting kind of first regular game time, and also using that game time to impress on the field. And Stade Rennes are actually doing pretty well. They're promoted from Ligue 2 last season, and they're now 9th. But he's yet to actually register a goal or assist in the league.
Okay.
His in-game numbers aren't too bad. He's averaging over 2 shots and 2.5 dribbles per 90. But I believe he's only started 3 games, and unfortunately for him, one of those was against PSG, in which they lost 4-1. Another one was against Marseille, which they drew 0-0. So he's yet to actually win a game in which he started.
Not great.
So it's not brilliant considering he turns 22 this year. He's got an XG of less than 0.2 a game. So I've not researched enough to actually define where these problems are coming from, or what the kind of state of him within the Stade Rennes squad is really.
0.2 expected goals and assists though is the same as sort of a central midfielder or a defensive midfielder. So
I think that's just expected goals, it's not expected goals and assists. I'm not sure where his assists would lie, but I don't believe he's putting up much in terms of key passes or passes in general.
His graph on StatsBomb was tiny.
He's very much he's playing as a centre forward essentially, but isn't producing what he should be. Another one who's a bit more interesting actually is Ronaldo Vieira, who went to Sampdoria last summer. Some of you may remember Sampdoria doing quite a funny little Twitter post in which they kind of announced his name in the kind of Ronaldo at Juventus font with a huge letters saying Ronaldo and very tiny letters saying Vieira. which was quite amusing.
I like that, yeah.
And this was actually this was something that should have worked really, because Ronaldo Vieira was doing very well at Leeds last season. He was making over 4 tackles and interceptions per game from DM. Also was attempting 65 passes with an 89% pass accuracy, which in itself would you'd think when Bielsa came into the club, you'd think, oh, maybe he'd try and keep hold of him. But that obviously didn't happen. Wow. And Sampdoria thought maybe they brought in as a bit of a Torreira replacement as well. And with those numbers, you'd expect him, that he kind of fits the bill.
It cost a fair amount, didn't they?
I think 6 mil, something like that. Yeah. But he's made only 2 starts for the Italian outfit so far this term, and he's not really coming off the bench either, which is a bit worrying.
And they're doing well.
Sampdoria are doing well. They're only a few points off 4th as well.
3 points.
Yeah, so it's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame for him. Maybe I don't know if he'd get more of a chance next season or not. But those are kind of 2 warning signs, as it were. And especially in the case of Vieira, he probably would have been better off staying in the Championship, where obviously Leeds are doing so well this season. So yeah, it's a difficult one. I think as for Hudson-Odoi, though, obviously we talked about him a lot before. Like I do think that would, like, looking at Bayern Munich this season, like I do feel like Hudson-Odoi would
contribute straight away.
Because I think it's only Gnabry who's actually contributed more than 5 goals from the wing this season.
Yeah.
Robin and Ribéry obviously have had relatively limited minutes. They haven't contributed more than 5 themselves.
He only just got his first goals for the club, Ribéry. In the last couple of weeks. Yeah.
So that's before then he wasn't even contributing.
And it looks like Robin's going to into Milan. Maybe his agent has been saying.
Yeah, well, this January as well.
Interesting.
So that would be interesting.
I'm not sure if this summer after his contract's up.
I think there's definitely space on the wings there, because obviously Kingsley Coman has spent so long of this season out injured. But I think it's a good move for Hudson-Odoi. I'd personally take it, especially, and for Chelsea it's a good move for them as well. I think 35 million for someone who's played 48 minutes of league football is a remarkable deal. But I just, Chris brought the positivity, Michael brought maybe a bit more of the pessimism, and I'd sort of go with Michael. I think the grass isn't always greener abroad. Do you remember Reece Oxford? Made his debut for West Ham, aged 16, against Arsenal. Went to Mönchengladbach 2 seasons in a row, and I think he made something like 14 appearances in all competitions across 2 seasons.
He was quite keen to remain, though, wasn't he, in Germany?
I think he was. I think he felt like he was developing, and I think he's still only 19, maybe 20. So he's still got plenty of time. And also the loan system this year in England seems to be working really well. I mean, look at Mason Mount at Derby. Look at Harry Wilson at Derby. Look at Ryan Kent, who's gone to Rangers and scored that goal against you guys the other day.
He did, yeah.
So there's plenty of opportunities for growth at British clubs. But it's an interesting trend in English football. Until a couple of years ago, not many youngsters were prepared to go abroad, and it's all the better for their all-round education, experiencing a new culture and learning a new language, the whole thing. But I do think there's a lot to be gained from going still sticky in England as well. So it works both ways.
So Tammy Abraham has sort of recovered from his crappy loan spell at Swansea at Villa, which showing that you can kind of arrest your downturn in form by going to another English club. It doesn't have to necessarily be that clean a break that you go abroad, kind of like you've been saying. But I do think it will strengthen the fortunes of the English national team for these youngsters to go and learn,
get regular minutes,
new sort of tactics, new ways of playing. Who is the Ola Aina, for example, has gone on loan to Torino, and Chelsea were really keen for him to go because they wanted him to learn under someone like Walter Mazzari. This is a guy who's coached Napoli, coached Watford very successfully, and I think they actually put a 10 million fixed fee to buy in there. So, I mean, for all Chelsea's good intentions, they still want to sell him. But I'm sure they want to get Torino to the point where they think he's worth £10 million, because that's part of their business model, isn't it? I've taken down the names of a few of the youngsters that I think would benefit from going on loan now. So, excuse my pronunciation on this because I may butcher it, but he's a very promising product at Manchester City. He's been described as the next Vincent Kompany. It's Joel Latibaudiere.
Oh, I think that sounds pretty good. There's
George McEachran as well, who is Josh McEachran's younger brother, who's quite a cultured little AMC.
Is he at Chelsea?
The looks of him. I'm not actually sure where he is. I think he is at Chelsea, yeah. Ryan Brewster at Liverpool and Smith Rowe at Arsenal. I think these guys who have signed long-term contracts at their clubs, it's almost kind of a free pass, or an invitation really, now that their future is sort of secure at these big clubs, to go and learn and add to their craft, for sure. And just to add to Ronaldo Vieira, apparently his brother's called Romario. So
really,
yeah.
love
Named
that.
after
Love
Ronaldo.
that
What's
pairing.
What's Romario doing with his life?
I do think, from the evidence from the last couple of years, it does seem like the Bundesliga seems to be relatively safe option. Maybe that's just because Jadon Sancho and Reece Nelson do so well there. And the Eredivisie, obviously, mentioned Mason Mount at Derby. Obviously, he was kind of learning his trade in the Eredivisie last season.
He
did so
he
well.
got 10 goals and 14
Yeah.
Killed
assists,
it last season.
which is crazy.
A lot of Englishmen go to Vitesse as well, actually.
McCubs, as a Man United fan, I've heard a lot about a boy coming through your academy, Mason Greenwood, is it?
Oh, right, yeah, Mason Greenwood, yeah.
Is there anything you can bring to the table in terms of like how his development's going, or whether he's going to get a shot in the first team in the next couple of years? I mean, whether you don't know,
Not sure.
Don't know.
There's Angel Gomez
Sure.
as well,
Yes,
isn't there? So I think you've got high hopes for the pair of them.
Greenwood, he has scored a ton of goals this season. Yeah, but I'm not sure in terms of what he's actually. Yeah, whether I believe Solskjaer might have included him in the squad. I can't remember over Christmas at some point because he's wanting to give the players. Obviously, give the youth a bit more chance.
Solskjaer
I'm not sure in terms of like what. Yeah,
was it Gomez? Who did he bring on that was from the academy and everyone was pouring over it? Like, oh, this is what Man United is all
it was
about.
Angel Gomez. Yeah, it was Angel Gomez. It was because we had four players on the pitch, 4 attackers on the pitch who are all from the academy. So everyone was
and the guy with the big hair played as well, I think, in FA Cup.
Yeah. So like
Chowdhury.
He certainly does.
Good promising young talent.
Yeah. So there's plenty to go around, isn't there? But yeah.
Well, that was a very interesting discussion, if I don't say so myself. Moving on to quickfire questions. Okay, the first quickfire question comes in from L_Ham, no relation to Chris Hamill. He says, what do you think about the potential Malcolm Williams swap between Barcelona and Chelsea? Chris, have you been reading a little bit about this?
No, not at all, but I'll give it a crack.
Yeah.
I'm mystified as to why Chelsea haven't swapped Malcolm for Willian. Williams
plus cash as well.
Approaching 31. Valverde seems absolutely infatuated with Willian. They were prepared to offer upwards of 60 mil for him last summer, which I think Chelsea should have accepted. Should have snapped their hand off for that fee. That would have effectively paid for Pulisic and then some, right? So yeah, for me, I'd have taken Malcolm. He's a bit of a. I mean, for Barcelona to be that dismissive of him at the moment must be ringing the alarm bells of the top teams.
Yeah.
But I do think, and we mentioned this in Sunday Vibes, so I won't tread over the ground again too much, but him and sort of Coutinho have been victims of Valverde's system, so to speak. So he was playing a 4-4-1-1 last campaign, wasn't he? And that was sort of his favoured system. It was a little bit more defensively sound. It enabled Coutinho to kind of play out wide on the left as a hybrid midfielder / winger. You know, he could cut in at will like he loves doing. And of course, in that position, kind of space for 2 wingers and Messi, as opposed to in the 4-3-3 where it's Suarez, Messi, 1 winger, which, you know, to be fair to Valverde, he's had to bring Ousmane Dembele through at the same time as Coutinho, 200 million pound plus players. So I think Malcolm and his representatives have got themselves to blame for not going to Roma. I think his development would have been far better there. So to say that Malcolm would do really well at Chelsea would be jumping the gun. But
it's difficult to know.
He's got time on his side. Monchi rated him. Obviously Barcelona rated him. Pulisic's probably going to play on the right anyway instead of Willian. So.
Well, they'll still need 2 wingers within the next couple of years with Pedro and Willian both over 30. I think it's a bizarre move from Chelsea. I just can't see what they have to gain because Willian's numbers, you know, whilst good, have never been exceptional. He's been a great servant for Chelsea, but there's people all over my timeline all the time complaining about his choice of pass and his decision making. And I don't think his work around the final third is as polished as some of the other players. I think Pedro's actually played better than in this season as well.
Pedro's got 6 goals and an assist this season.
Yeah, definitely. McCubbs, what do you think about this move? Are you as baffled as we are?
Yeah. I mean, it does seem odd that Chelsea wouldn't take this move. But yeah, having said that, I don't think Chelsea's necessarily the best place for Malcolm to go at this moment in time. I think like last summer, I thought that it would even be worth United taking a punt on Malcolm, considering how weak we are down the right, at least last season, and it's kind of carried on into this season as well. It's a difficult one, and when there's so much money being kind of touted for this as well. It seems a bit of a weird move for Barcelona to make in January as well, considering there are other areas of the Barcelona team that need work. If you're going to do it just on this season, obviously they're 5 points clear at the top of the league, and for sure their attack probably isn't working as well as it could be. But obviously defensive issues is what has been the big problem this season, isn't it?
Definitely.
Yeah. And swapping. It's just not going to help, is it? Let's face it, it's not going to help.
Made an interesting point there in that Chelsea might not be the right place for Malcolm, but also Chelsea this season they've dominated games, but they've struggled to create high quality chances in and around the box. Eden Hazard's had to be very decisive in order for them to win at any sort of points, and we know that Malcolm needs a lot of work in that regard. He's very raw in terms of his shot location. I think he was averaging a monstrous 3 shots at Bordeaux per 90 across the course of the season, but I think 2 of them, or 2/3, were, which equates to 2, was outside the box. So Sarri's not. I don't think Sarri is going to be too keen to bring in someone else who he has to develop in order to achieve the results he's looking for right now. You can tell Sarri is frustrated with the personnel he has at his disposal. He clearly doesn't rate Morata. Giroud's too old. Or maybe he does want to keep Willian as sort of that someone who does the hard yards on the right in the same way that Callahan did for Napoli. So it makes more sense to keep Willian, I guess, in that regard, if you've got a manager whose onus isn't to develop talent right now. It's quite complex, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I think it works both ways. I don't think Barcelona particularly need Willian either. As McCover mentioned, they've conceded 20 league goals already, which is only 9 short of what they conceded in the whole of last year. It's only through the lack of stellar competition from Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid that they're so far clear at the moment, although shout out to Sevilla and Alaves for doing so well so far. But let's move on to Harry Gardner's question. He says, if you had an unlimited budget, what one player aged under 28, due to an already old squad, he says, would you sign to propel Real Madrid back into second in La Liga? Or I'm just going to temper this, let's back into the title contention next year. So this summer, unlimited budget, who's your one player that you think could make the most difference to Real Madrid?
Under 28 is a big pool of players. Neymar, he is 26, 27, right? It's such a. I mean, it's pretty obvious that it's not very creative for me to have gone for that. But yeah,
Neymar.
I'd like to see Neymar back in La Liga, to be honest.
I mean, the one thing they're missing this campaign, I think they're taking as many shots, or even slightly more so than Barcelona. They're conceding an equal amount of shots to Barcelona. So their underlying numbers are okay, but they just haven't got anyone decisive in the area. Ronaldo was not only getting off 7-8 shots last campaign, he was taking most of them from inside the box. This was a guy who produced just really high quality chances as well as being voluminous. So they need someone in that regard, in that mould. So Harry Kane.
Yeah. Icardi, I think, could happen maybe this summer. That'd be good. It'd be exciting. I'm also sure that they're going to go really hard for one of Hazard or Eriksen as well. Which one they'll go for and whether they'll get both is another question.
But I mean, I guess Eriksen's 25, 26. Hazard's 28 now, isn't he?
I know.
They've almost missed the boat on him.
I think if they offer comfortably over 120 million for Hazard, I think Chelsea should take that as well.
Yeah.
Due to his age and that, I mean, he'll be an enormous loss, but they can reinvest that money so cleverly if they do the right thing. But we shall see. Right, we've got a couple more Barcelona and Real Madrid questions, but we're going to leave them for another day because we've covered them just now. But Kieran comes in with, if Ole goes undefeated against the rest of the top 6 and knocks out PSG, very ambitious Kieran, should he get the permanent Man United job? McCubbs, as the resident Man United fan on this panel, what do you think?
No, I think it would be a good achievement of his to go unbeaten against the top 6. Obviously, we'll see about that this weekend against Spurs. Going to be on Football Social on Sunday, so go check that out.
Great
plug. I just don't think. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been given a job. It's been to raise the spirits of the players, kind of get the team playing relatively attractive football for the rest of the season and not fall too short of the top 4. I don't think he's been necessarily given the job of getting into the top 4. If he did get into the top 4, then I think he would actually be
Norway manager.
So, exactly. But I think if he got into the top 4, I think they'd have to consider him at least. I don't think they'd go for him, but because that's quite an almighty task that he's been given. But yeah, no, I just can't see it happening. I think if he were to get the job full time on the basis of 5 months, it would kind of put to bed any kind of hope that United are a club that are trying to think more in the long term now. And if they are a club trying to think more in the long term, then they surely have to go all out for Pochettino in the summer. We've spoken about it a lot, haven't we?
Yeah. If he gets the job, it will be because their top 3 targets have rejected them, or they can't be prized away from their club. He'll get it in almost like a Moisey-esque fashion, won't it? By virtue of just going down a list and eventually reaching him. So there's an outside chance, but I'd hope not as a Manchester United fan.
Yeah, it'd be pretty.
It seems unlikely. I'd just say that it's a win-win, this situation from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. To be honest, before he got appointed Man United manager, he wasn't in the running for any other Premier League jobs. No. People have completely forgotten about him. Now he's doing a good job at Man United. Even if he's not taken on, he'll be in the reckoning for a middling Premier League job. Just on the reputation of what he does there.
Perhaps.
It's completely rejuvenated his career. I don't think anyone was looking at him around Europe. He was just going to be in Molde for a couple of years.
Yeah. Let's see what happens though, because it has been 1 month. Could get spanked by Tottenham on Sunday.
And suddenly,
I expect. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the players will turn on him. But I think, like, if you think back to when Mourinho left Chelsea in 2015-16, Gus Hiddink came in, and originally results got better, and Chelsea were playing better, and then they kind of just reverted to being a little bit uninspired and just like not, they still finished 9th that season. I think there's a high possibility we could see that with United this season. I think we will probably revert to norm to an extent, because there's just so many holes that have been left there by Mourinho.
And United were susceptible to chances. I think I watched, 2 of the 4 fixtures he's taken over against Huddersfield. De Gea's making a world-class save. Against Cardiff, they still had a few opportunities.
100%.
So yeah, this will be the first real test. It'll be really interesting to see how he lines up, because like you said, he's given them licence to be very forward-thinking, and it will be interesting to see if he tries to batter Spurs with his attack, or actually has it in his locker to be a bit more, tactically versatile to try and hit them on the counter or whatnot. So yeah.
Right, lads, before we move on to big match preview, I just want your 1-word prediction of where United will finish this year. McCubs?
I'm going to say 5th.
Hamill?
6th. Everton and Leicester nowhere near the level.
But they'll finish behind Arsenal. I'm also going, 6th, comfortably. Right, on to big match preview. Right, for our big match preview this week, we are giving you the lowdown on the matchup between 2 Reals, Betis versus Real Madrid this weekend. McCubbin, can you give us the lowdown on the hosts, Real Betis, please?
I'll give you a very limited lowdown. Betis, obviously, 6th versus 5th this is. So they're only 4 points behind Real Madrid. Generally speaking, had a decent season so far, kind of built on that great second half of the season they had last season under Quique Setien, Marc Bartra coming to the side and everything. And all that, Quique Setien being tipped as the next great kind of Spanish manager.
Yeah,
and he's quite old actually. I think he's the second oldest in the division. I
think he's mid-50s. He's done the hard yards. Like he's been about. But yeah, a lot of Barcelona fans calling for him to be instated at the helm of the Blaugrana after that 4-3 victory.
I'd be well up for him going to Barcelona. I think it's exactly the kind of shake-up they needed tactically.
The football that he plays.
But having said that, not in great form, much like Madrid. They haven't won since last month. Their last 2 La Liga games were a draw against Eibar and a humiliating loss to bottom place Huesca, whose win against them was only their 2nd of the season. And when you look at the game, they actually really deserved to lose it as well. They only had 1 shot on target, which did go in. It was 2-1, and that was a penalty, I believe. So great. And they also conceded 7 on target. So yeah, which is weird, because they produce a lot of shots on target per game, don't they? I think they're averaging 6 this season. Yeah, 6 shots in the box as well. I think they're averaging like 12 or 13 shots in general. But having said that, they're not actually scoring that much. They've got a 0 goal difference. They've let in 21 goals, which in the grand scheme of things, not too bad for a club at that part of the table. But they've also only scored 21 goals. So
their main striker from last year has aged out a little bit though. I think they are They do need a number 9, and they signed a Mexican whiz kid, right?
Yeah. So Diego Linus from Club America just won
very
the
highly rated.
Apertura. Yeah, very highly rated. I believe we covered him on Football Mundial actually a couple of months ago as well. So yeah, I mean, you could maybe see him getting into this starting lineup straight away. He's only 18, but I'm not sure whether he'll play against Madrid, but he surely will feature this season because their current top-scoring centre forward is Sanabria, who has 2 goals. Lo Celso on 4 is their top scorer in La Liga and also their top scorer overall. He's got 4 in La Liga, 7 in total. So yeah, there definitely is a striking problem, as you said there, Hamill. So yeah, and he's also coming into the club on form as well. He scored twice in the semi-finals of the Liga MX Apertura. I don't believe he was scoring a huge amount before.
Lovely.
But yeah, but I think he also plays he mainly plays on the left actually. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Quique Setien does with him. But yeah, so it's a difficult one. I feel like 1 or 2 goals, or like maybe 1 goal. It could just be a 1-0 this game because neither team is scoring much.
Real Madrid always give away chances this season. I mean,
they do.
I mean, having had quite a good end to 2018, they've started 2019 in pretty shocking form. They obviously drew against Villarreal, then they lost Real Sociedad, and now they're out of the Copa del Rey as well. They lost 3-0.
No, they beat Leganes 3-0.
Oh, sorry, they beat Leganes 3-0. I'm getting confused. Barcelona lost in the Copa del Rey. So there's problems throughout the team at Madrid, Chris. But how do you see this one going?
I mean, I like Betis. I've become a bit
of a fanboy. Yeah.
Become a bit of a Betis fan after doing them on the podcast the other week, and Junior Firpo's my boy. Is Olivia dropping her 3rd sheet in a row there. Sort of a converted winger. He's been pretty deadly for them down the left-hand side. A lot of clubs linked with moves for him. I think he did his profile, the world of good, scoring a great goal against Barcelona where he sort of cut inside from the left and drilled it into that near post with his right foot. So I really like Betis. I'm actually in agreement with McCubbin. Neither team producing high quality chances at the moment. I mean, I didn't watch it the 3-0 victory over Leganes, and Leganes have actually been very sound defensively, at least historically, over the last 2 years. So who knows? Maybe if they get sort of Asensio firing again, who's back from injury, I believe, and Mariano, who's out for a couple of weeks with a sciatic nerve problem, then they can help Karim Benzema, who's kind of struggling again up top, spearheading that attack by himself, isn't he? Maybe we'll see Isco as well, hopefully, touch wood, because
the lesser spotted Isco these days.
Yeah, Solari hates him, doesn't he? Not started him.
It's almost going
in the league, I don't think. I think he's only started 2 games, one against the Minnows in a cup competition and against CSKA, so
which they lost 3-0 at home, and then he got booed pretty violently.
Courtois is actually out of a hip injury as well.
Oh, that might be a bonus.
Keylor Navas will be deputising. Let's see what happens. I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory to Real Madrid, a hard-fought 2-1.
McCubbs?
I'm going to say 1-1.
I'm with McCubbin, 1-1 draw for me too. Guys, let's roll straight into the end board. McCubbin, what should the good people do next?
They should go and subscribe to FDFC.
100%.
The videos are just rolling out at the moment. You can go and see our reactions to our FIFA cards over there. Very entertaining, I can tell you. Sevens, non-league vlogs, and lots more stuff coming your way. So go and subscribe to that.
Yeah, Christopher?
I think he's pretty much nailed it. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.